You walk into a room full of people, and you can feel it instantly, the silent competition, the subtle glances, the unspoken question hanging in the air: who here is truly successful? Maybe you felt it at a reunion, a networking event, or even scrolling through your social feed. There's a certain electricity, a tension, as if everyone is quietly measuring themselves against everyone else. And in that moment, you might wonder, what is it that makes someone successful? Is it the car they drive, the job title on their business card, the number of followers they have, or the way others seem to orbit around them? We're told, almost from birth, that success is a destination, a finish line, a place you arrive at after years of striving, sacrificing, and outworking everyone else. But what if I told you that everything you've been taught about success is not just incomplete, but fundamentally misleading? What if the truth about success is so different, so counterintuitive, that most people never see it, even as it shapes their entire lives? Let's start with a story. Imagine a young woman named Maya. She's always been driven, always been told she's destined for great things. She gets the grades, lands the job, climbs the ladder. On paper, she's a textbook example of success. But late at night, when the world is quiet and the mask comes off, she feels a gnawing emptiness. She wonders if she's living her own life or just following a script handed to her by someone else. She's not alone. In fact, if you look closely, you'll see that many of the people we call successful are haunted by the same quiet question: is this all there is? Contrast that with someone like Daniel. He never cared much for titles or trophies. He works as a gardener, spends his evenings painting, and laughs easily. He doesn't have a 5-year plan or a vision board. Yet, when you talk to him, there's a lightness, a sense of peace that's almost magnetic. People are drawn to him, not because of what he's achieved, but because of how he moves through the world. He's not chasing success, he's living it, in a way that's invisible to most. This is the first shocking truth about success: it's not what you think it is. We've been conditioned to believe that success is external, measurable, and universally agreed upon. But the reality is, success is deeply personal, often invisible, and sometimes even at odds with what society celebrates. The world will hand you a checklist: money, status, recognition, power, and tell you that if you tick all the boxes, you'll be happy. But the people who have ticked every box are often the ones who feel the most lost. Why? Because they've been living someone else's definition of success, not their own. Think about the stories we're told. The entrepreneur who sells their company for millions, the athlete who wins gold, the influencer with 1 million followers. We see the highlight reel, the applause, the magazine covers. What we don't see are the sleepless nights, the relationships sacrificed, the quiet moments of doubt. We don't see the cost. And here's the paradox: the more you chase the world's version of success, the more you risk losing touch with your own. You become an actor in someone else's play, reciting lines you never wrote, wearing costumes that don't quite fit. But why is this so hard to see? Why do so many people spend their lives climbing ladders only to realize, too late, that the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall? Part of the answer lies in the stories we absorb from childhood. We're praised for achievement, rewarded for conformity, and taught to compare ourselves to others. The message is clear: your worth is measured by your performance, your value by your results. And so, we learn to chase approval, to seek validation, to measure our lives by external markers. But this is a trap, a beautiful, glittering trap that catches almost everyone. Let's pause for a moment. Ask yourself, whose definition of success are you living? Is it yours, or is it something you inherited from your parents, your culture, your peers? Have you ever stopped to question the script, or have you been too busy trying to play your part perfectly? The truth is, most people never ask these questions. They're too afraid of what they might find. Because to question the script is to risk stepping off the stage, to risk being seen as a failure by the very people whose approval you crave. But here's where things get interesting. The people who are truly successful, the ones who radiate a quiet confidence, who seem at ease in their own skin, are almost always the ones who have rewritten the script. They've stopped chasing someone else's dream and started living their own. They've learned that success isn't a destination, it's a way of being. It's not about what you have, but how you feel. Not about what you achieve, but how you live. This doesn't mean that ambition is bad, or that achievement is meaningless. Far from it. Ambition can be a beautiful thing, a force that drives us to grow, to create, to contribute. But when ambition is divorced from authenticity, when it becomes a race to nowhere, it leaves us empty. The real challenge is to align your ambition with your values, to pursue goals that matter to you, not just to the world. So, what does this look like in practice? It starts with honesty, the willingness to look at your life and ask, is this really what I want? It requires courage, the courage to disappoint others, to risk being misunderstood, to walk your own path. And it demands patience, the patience to build a life that's true to you, even if it doesn't look impressive from the outside. The shocking truth about success is that it's not about impressing others. It's about being at peace with yourself. It's not about winning the game, it's about deciding which game is worth playing. And sometimes, the most successful people are the ones who quietly step away from the spotlight, who choose a different path, who define success on their own terms. If you look closely at the world around you, you'll notice something strange. The people who seem the most successful on the surface are often the ones struggling the most beneath it. They have the accolades, the applause, the outward signs of achievement, but inside, there's a restlessness, a sense that something essential is missing. It's as if they've spent years climbing a mountain, only to reach the summit and discover that the view isn't what they expected. The air is thin, the silence is deafening, and the sense of arrival is fleeting. This is the second shocking truth about success: it's never as satisfying as you imagine it will be. The finish line keeps moving, the goalposts shift, and the sense of fulfillment you crave always seems just out of reach. Why does this happen? Part of the answer lies in the way our brains are wired. We're built to adapt, to normalize, to take for granted whatever we achieve. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill, the tendency to return to a baseline level of happiness no matter what happens to us. You get the promotion, the new car, the dream house, and for a moment, you feel elated. But soon, the excitement fades, and you're left wanting more. The world tells you to keep running, to keep chasing, to never be satisfied. But what if the real secret to success is learning to step off the treadmill, to find contentment in the present rather than in some imagined future? Consider the story of Alex, a man who spent his entire life chasing the next big thing. He was always one step ahead, always reaching for the next rung on the ladder. But no matter how much he achieved, it was never enough. There was always someone richer, smarter, more accomplished. One day, after a particularly exhausting year, Alex found himself sitting alone in his office, surrounded by awards and certificates. He realized that he couldn't remember the last time he'd felt truly happy. All his life, he'd been chasing a feeling that never lasted. In that moment, he understood, success, as he'd been taught to pursue it, was a mirage. Contrast this with someone like Priya, who measures her success not by what she owns or what she's achieved, but by the quality of her relationships, the depth of her experiences, the sense of meaning she finds in everyday moments. She's not immune to ambition, she works hard, sets goals, dreams big. But she's learned to savor the journey, to find joy in the process rather than the outcome. She celebrates small victories, forgives herself for setbacks, and refuses to let her worth be defined by external markers. When you talk to her, you sense a quiet confidence, a groundedness that's rare in a world obsessed with more. This brings us to another uncomfortable truth: success is often a lonely road. The higher you climb, the fewer people you find who truly understand you. The pressure to maintain your image, to live up to expectations, can be suffocating. You start to wonder if people like you for who you are or for what you represent. You become guarded, cautious, afraid to show vulnerability. The irony is that the more successful you become, the harder it is to connect with others in a genuine way. You build walls to protect yourself, but those same walls keep you isolated. But it doesn't have to be this way. The people who thrive, who find real fulfillment, are the ones who dare to be authentic. They're willing to show their flaws, to admit their fears, to ask for help when they need it. They understand that true success isn't about being invulnerable, it's about being real. It's about building relationships based on trust, not transaction. It's about finding people who see you, not just your achievements. Let's talk about another myth: the idea that success is a solo journey. We love the story of the self-made individual, the lone genius who overcomes all odds. But the truth is, nobody succeeds alone. Every achievement is built on a foundation of support: family, friends, mentors, even rivals. The most successful people are often the most connected, the ones who know how to ask for help, how to collaborate, how to lift others as they climb. They understand that success is not a zero-sum game, that there's enough to go around, that helping others succeed doesn't diminish their own achievements. And yet, our culture glorifies independence, self-reliance, the myth of the lone wolf. We're taught to hide our struggles, to downplay our needs, to pretend we have it all together. But this is a recipe for burnout, for disconnection, for a life that looks good on the outside but feels empty on the inside. The real secret is that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. The willingness to be seen, to be known, to be imperfect, that's where real connection happens, and that's where real success begins. So, what does it mean to be truly successful? It means living in alignment with your values, even when it's inconvenient. It means pursuing goals that matter to you, not just to the world. It means building relationships that nourish you, not just networks that benefit you. It means being willing to fail, to fall short, to start over, because you know that your worth isn't tied to your achievements. It means finding joy in the journey, not just the destination. But perhaps the most shocking truth of all is this: success is not a fixed state. It's not something you achieve once and for all. It's a moving target, a living process, a dance between who you are and who you're becoming. The people who are truly successful are the ones who keep growing, who keep learning, who keep evolving. They're not afraid to change course, to let go of old dreams, to embrace new possibilities. They understand that life is not a straight line, but a series of twists and turns, detours and discoveries. If you're willing to let go of the old definitions, to question the stories you've been told, to listen to your own inner voice, you'll find that success is closer than you think. It's not out there, waiting for you to arrive. It's here, in this moment, in the choices you make every day. It's in the way you treat yourself, the way you treat others, the way you show up for your own life. There's a moment in every journey when you realize that the map you've been following doesn't lead where you thought it would. Maybe it happens quietly, in the middle of an ordinary day, or maybe it comes crashing in during a crisis, when everything you've built suddenly feels fragile. You look around at the trophies, the titles, the trappings of achievement, and you wonder, what was all this for? Was I chasing my own dream, or just running from the fear of not being enough? This is the crossroads where real transformation begins. It's the place where you stop asking, how do I become successful, and start asking, what does success mean to me? It's a subtle shift, but it changes everything. Suddenly, the opinions of others lose their grip. The pressure to perform, to impress, to outdo, begins to fade. In its place, a new kind of freedom emerges, the freedom to define your own life, to choose your own path, to measure your days by your own standards. But this freedom comes with responsibility. It asks you to be honest with yourself, to face the parts of your life that don't fit, to let go of the stories that no longer serve you. It's not easy. In fact, it can be terrifying. Because when you stop living for approval, you have to start living for something deeper, something that can't be measured in likes or dollars or applause. You have to find your own North Star. For some, that star is creativity, the joy of making something new, of expressing what's inside. For others, it's connection, the warmth of real relationships, the comfort of being truly seen. For many, it's service, the sense of purpose that comes from helping others, from making a difference, however small. And for a few, it's simply peace, the quiet satisfaction of knowing you're living in alignment with your own values, even if nobody else notices. The world may never understand your definition of success. It may look at your choices and shake its head, may call you foolish or naive or even a failure. But the world doesn't have to live your life. You do. And the only real failure is to betray yourself, to spend your days chasing a version of success that leaves you empty. So, how do you begin? Start by listening to yourself, to the quiet voice beneath the noise, to the part of you that knows what matters. Pay attention to what lights you up, to what drains you, to the moments when you feel most alive. Notice where you're pretending, where you're performing, where you're hiding. And then, little by little, begin to make different choices. Choose honesty over image, meaning over approval, growth over comfort. You don't have to change everything overnight. In fact, you can't. But you can start with one small step, one honest conversation, one act of courage, one decision to honor your own truth. Over time, these small steps add up. They become a new way of living, a new definition of success, one that's rooted in authenticity, not appearance. And here's the final, most liberating truth: success is not a competition. There's no finish line, no scoreboard, no ultimate winner. There's only the question: are you living a life that feels true to you? If the answer is yes, then you are already successful, no matter what the world says. If the answer is no, then you have the power to change it, starting right now. Imagine a world where success is measured not by what you have, but by who you are. Not by how much you accumulate, but by how much you give. Not by the applause you receive, but by the peace you feel when you look in the mirror. This world is possible, but it starts with you. It starts with the courage to question, the willingness to change, the commitment to live your own truth. So, the next time you find yourself comparing, competing, or chasing someone else's dream, pause. Take a breath. Remember that the only person you need to impress is yourself. Remember that the real measure of success is not out there, but in here, in your heart, in your soul, in the quiet moments when nobody is watching. The shocking truth about success is that it's yours to define. Nobody else can do it for you. And the moment you claim that power, the moment you stop living for the world and start living for yourself, everything changes. You become the author of your own story, the creator of your own destiny, the architect of a life that is uniquely, unapologetically yours. This is the truth nobody tells you. This is the freedom that waits on the other side of letting go. And this, more than any trophy or title or triumph, is the real success, the kind that lasts, the kind that matters, the kind that feels like coming home.